All right, welcome to the meeting. I am going to start the meeting. As you know from the email, Greg Swedenborg has resigned as a TAC committee member. As the vice chair, I have been bumped up to the chair. So I'm back to the chair as the chair of TAC. And so we are here meeting to listen to presentations by applicants. And our first applicant today is Cannon Beach Arts Association. So you're up. Welcome, Libby and Andrea.
Hi, thank you.
You guys are here.
Oh,
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, and with that, we will turn over the floor to you two.
thank you. I'm Lila Wickham, the treasurer of the Cannon Beach Arts Association, and Summer is the marketing and program director. And one of the initiatives we've used is I am training Summer to be the grant writer. And so the narrative here is all Summer's narrative. I was just helping with the budget, et cetera. And so basically, we are asking for support for exhibition program and some of our other programs for the shoulder season, which is October through April. And so the exhibition program is a piece of it. We had artist grants last year, artist grants again this year, and we plan to do art scholarships again. We have 3 workshops planned. And then I'm going to have Summer talk to you about her idea, which is what did you call it?
Interactive mural for visitors.
Okay, I saw something about that. Great.
Yeah, so basically the mural idea is so tourists can get involved with the gallery space, and it is a sticky note mural. So everyone can use different colored sticky notes and fill in this. And I don't know if you guys have attachments, but I try to do a visual of what it's going to look like. And they can stick the sticky notes on the wall. They can write where they're from or draw a little picture. And then by the end, when it's done, you can stand back and it'll be like a picture of Haystack Rock.
Very cool.
So where is that going to be located? Is that going to be in your lobby or?
Yeah, that's going to be in the gallery space. We're going to treat it like a pop-up, maybe around Stormy Weather Arts Festival. So we get the foot traffic so we can actually build the mural. Yeah, and then we're going to take it down and it'll just be sticky notes. Should come down pretty easily.
Right.
Mhm.
So we've made it through the COVID issues and we have visitors returning. What have you seen for your attendees, your visitors, your numbers since going through the COVID issue? And are your numbers back up? Because I know that they're off a little bit. Are they back up or?
They are back up, and Summer's taken on the task of getting more precise with our numbers. But so our foot traffic is back up. The interesting thing to me, though, is that during COVID, people used their disposable income to buy art and to fix up their houses, and they weren't traveling. And now that they're traveling, they're not buying as much. They're not buying
Sales year last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
The previous year when you reported, you had a good sales year.
So, and I think that's kind of a universal thing that people are experiencing. So one of our strategies is right now, Summer is working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Scott's working on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's an experiment to see if we can improve our sales by being open more days a week and starting at 10. That isn't in this grant. Because we're practicing with it for the summer tourist season. And hopefully, if we if that's successful, then we'll try to be open more days a week to boost our sales and boost our presence.
You're asking for less money than last year. Which, thank you, right? But that's just, it's usually there's an ask creep, right?
Right.
And so there isn't an ask creep this year.
Well, and the reason for that is that Summer is really efficient and she pulled off summer art camp last year under budget.
Good summer.
Yeah, and so, and that's why the ask is less, is
Okay.
because we base our request on what we learned from the previous year. And Summer's just really efficient
Okay.
and focused. And one of our other hopes is to be able to, you know, increase our employees' hourly rates, that people who live here and work here can actually survive.
Sure. But that's part of the ask creep though, right? That's usually why that there is some increase in the ask from year to year, and which is understandable.
But if you figure out how to do things in less time,
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
But the request isn't for operating funds. In here, I'm saying, right, it's for,
Events.
yeah, so. Inside with this.
Steve, you asked my main question. And I-
About the reduced ask from year to year?
Yeah, that was my main, and I wasn't sure if that was going back. The only thing I could think of was the printing of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, working efficiently is always good.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking when I saw that there may have been something that was not being done this year that was done the previous year.
no, we actually added the
Yeah, I see that.
mural.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Rhea, do you have anything? Any questions?
No questions.
I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to ask questions. Well, you know, this committee loves your organization, right? And so has always really supported your organization. So you guys do a great community service with your gallery and your events. And so I don't have any additional questions. Hannah, do you have any other questions?
No,
Good job.
Oh, the people I don't see them anymore.
Oh, no questions from Libby.
Thank you, Libby.
Hey, oh, there they are. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for doing this. You know, it's hard work trying to decide who to fund. So we appreciate it.
Agree. Thank you.
All righty.
So the next group isn't here yet. Do we want to do some housekeeping right now?
We definitely can. So if
Okay.
you wanna go ahead and elect a new vice chair. Now, we have a good 10 minutes.
Yeah, so we had talked about doing this at the end, but I think, you know, we have some time here to do it right now. With Greg being gone and me going from vice chair to chair, we need a new vice chair. And I wanted to nominate Libby for vice chair of the committee.
and second that,
Libby, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm happy to slip in and take over some responsibilities, and I look forward to it if I get the vote.
Perfect, perfect. Well, the thing is, what I'm looking for is we've got a lot of new faces, and so we just need some consistency and people that have been in the room for a year or so or more to kind of run the committee. And then the vice chair, the expectation is that there's a good chance that the vice chair becomes the chair the following the following year. And this is my last year. I term out. I don't know exactly what month I term out, but it's coming up soon. And so then, Libby, the expectation is that you become chair of the committee. With that being said, we have 2 openings right now. We have Greg's position is open and with his resignation, and Tracy, who was appointed by the city council, became the city staff member now in charge of the Cannon Beach Farmers Market. And because of that, she has been removed from the committee. So we have those 2 open positions right now. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that Greg is not, I'm sorry.
Can we vote real quick?
Okay. So yes, so I make a motion. Oh, we already have a motion in a second.
We just-
So let's take a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Right?
All right.
We're good.
Perfect. Thank you. The other thing I want to bring up is that Greg Allen is not here again. And I don't know the last time Greg Allen was in a meeting. And it's kind of a disservice to the community. And so I would like to make a motion to recommend to the city council that Greg Allen is removed from the Tourism and Arts Commission.
Second.
All right. So we have this motion on the floor. Does anybody have any additional thoughts for conversation? If not.
I know Greg took it on that he was going to try to reach out to him. Do we know if that ever happened or if anyone has?
I'm not sure. I did give Greg a list of his attendance
Mhm.
and I'm not sure what did come of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it matters at this point, right? He just hasn't been to a meeting in forever. And it really is a disservice to the community. The community has people that want to be on these committees. And then when we have people that are on the committee that don't attend, they don't bring any value to the committee or to the community. So that's my position. Drea or Libby, do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree.
yeah, I think, sure, I mean, they should attend the meetings. I don't know who this person is, just coming in late.
Well, they have a
This-
business here, but they've moved out of the local area. So it's not convenient for them and they're not, I mean, Zoom would be convenient and they're not showing up via Zoom. So if there's no further discussion, Jennifer, you want to call a vote?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Oh, we're all for, so.
So we'll make a recommendation. I don't know if Jennifer, if I need to do that or if you can do that on behalf of the committee.
I'll do that on behalf of the committee. We have a motion, so then I'll
Okay.
work with Barb and we'll go through the next steps.
So we have 2 openings now and it seems like we're going to have a 3rd opening here real soon. Okay. Mr. Hall, how are you today?
Good, thank you. I'm a little early, but
Well, we finished the first one in about 9 minutes, so
it's got to be a record.
it could be. But we'll see if you can do 8 minutes, okay?
Sounds good. Well, it's Joe.
I saw Joe in the hallway, so
He's in charge. I'm just here for history.
your moral support,
Yeah.
there he is.
History.
Well, we're ready for you, sir.
You want us up here?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing today, Joe?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
I'm here in support of.
Funny, he just said the opposite.
Oh, no.
Well, you have 2 or 3
Actually,
submissions,
force and
4 submissions. What order do you want to go in?
I guess we can go by year, so it would be the stormy weather first, spring unveiling next, earth and ocean, and the.
Marketing. Okay.
Campaign.
Perfect.
So, not quite sure. I've only been at one of these once with Jim Kingwell, who had done this before.
Sure.
So if you can give me a little bit guidance through or what you're looking
We
exactly.
have your written submission.
Okay,
Okay, we have all four of them, and really what we want you to do is just tell us about
okay,
the event,
yeah,
why you're asking for some money, what those funds are gonna go to.
gotcha.
And then what we have, Hannah and I are here, and then on Zoom, we have Libby and Drea,
Oh,
two other committee members that are
sorry, hello,
participating as well. So,
okay,
yeah, and then if we have questions, we'll ask you questions about your submission.
okay. But nice, thank you again for letting us submit. We previously had submitted. We didn't last year, just due to a transition with our treasurer and just the overall not being there with the process. So we sort of took a year to regroup and have come back to the table since we're in better shape and understanding of what we need to do going forward. So for stormy weather, and most of these we have done in the past, but you know, the reason why we feel that they're strongly to participate in them is stormy weather is a event that's put on by the chamber, but a large part of it is the artists or the galleries. And as such, we feel if there's any way we can support them. So in our advertising, what we've done in the past and what we will do in the future is it highlights each of those our three festivals are the two that we put on, and then the third one being the stormy weather event. So it's all about supporting everybody in the group within the town. And so as such, and in the past, they've needed some help because they would rather go a little bit lighter on the guide, but if we're going to put a brochure out of a gallery, we want a certain level of presentation. So that's part of what you see here is the event brochure. We help towards getting that done at a good level that's really representative of the group. And then social media as well. We can really start incorporating that within our own special. So even though the gallery does their own, we just feel that any extra ones will bring more people at that time of the year.
So with working with the chamber, what's their component of the Stormy Weather Arts Festival? Because at one time it was a chamber event specifically.
It is a chamber event.
So you're supporting the chamber.
Supporting the chamber in
Right.
this.
I want to,
Because we're doing advertising year round to support our other events.
okay,
Why not because truly, festival, that's the galleries or our art is one component of that. So what we have done, and it worked well in the past, we were able to help them by, number one, extending advertising through our own because we're doing it different places than they are. Number two, we're doing our own social media blast, so that helps because it's bringing people for that. And then lastly, as I said on the event brochure, we make a donation with the expectation that they will, we sponsor it as a way to get a better quality brochure out of them.
so your advertising of $6,000, where do you see that? How's that being spent? What channels is that being spent on?
We do it through multiple channels. We've done Southwest Art. This past year on our own, we've done Preview. And so basically any event that we have is incorporated within the ad.
Right.
And I have to say, my good friend supported me here. Jeff, and he gave me a paper and I ended up leaving the one that I asked you to bring.
Yeah.
But all our ads, not only do they show the galleries themselves, but in the middle box, right in the middle is a box that says, here are our festivals. So by us doing that, it's not put like in a bottom line, it's literally in the middle. So and in our own brochure that we hand out every year, we have a festival section in it. I know Jeff, as well as myself and other gallery owners, when we show people that there's other galleries in town, we also note, hey, we do have these 3 festivals. They're a good time to come back in town. It's not crowded, but it's busy, a lot of things going on. And we've seen several people come back over the years because they say, oh, you told us about this. And good.
So you also have an ask for marketing, right? The year-round marketing campaign of $16,000.
Yes.
How is this marketing effort different from this marketing effort that we're going to talk about?
The marketing effort, the difference between the two is that the marketing effort incorporates more of the social media, more of the public relations as far as press releases for the events. And that's why I put it last. It sort of supports the other ones by doing that.
Okay.
It also allows us to come up with some better content than we can do on ourselves, driven to these events. So we're looking at ads that incorporate these events. So that's why I said this. I put it last because it does support the other 3 as a combination of the efforts of getting it placed, getting it followed through on.
Are you guys contracting with someone to like be the marketing manager for the gallery group?
Yes, we've had good success working with what's Gary's last name?
Gary Hayes.
Gary Hayes for doing it for us, which has worked out well. The gallery group, we're all individual owners. We only have so much time, but we want these events because people come back for the events. We have people who are looking forward to spring unveiling, are looking forward to seeing artists, looking forward to Jeff Hall's work. So for us, those are critical events, but in the day-to-day action and having less people to run things, it's like, okay, do we not do the event or do we find some help? So that's what we're trying to do. And that's where we utilize Gary wherever possible, as well as we have a person that we do pay through that also handles our website, because we've updated our website over the years and we monitor the hits off of that as well.
If I can throw in too.
Sure.
We turned a corner maybe 10 or 12 years ago when Bonnie Gilchrist stepped in to help us with marketing and PR. And my take on it is that was huge for our events, which was then huge for town. And I think the world of Gary. Bonnie it was time for her to retire, but it's been one of those progressions that, looking back, I don't know how we could possibly have done as much as we've done without that professional help. So that's kind of mixed into this as well.
Yeah. Well, Bonnie had a lot of contacts, right? A lot of fantastic contacts that established the relationships. And then Gary probably continuing and different contacts, but continuing those relationships.
Yep.
So I think that's good. And Gary has good historical knowledge of the organization and the galleries and the marketing.
So then like the 2,000 you have in content creation, 2,000 project management, that's going to hiring or paying for that position? Contractor?
For the,
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the marketing.
on the marketing one, yes.
I was getting muddled there.
No, you're fine. that's on. Yeah, that's pretty much where it's going to. And, you know, that's a budgeted amount. We set limits and we do have, the gallery group does have a marketing committee made up of Alan Cantor, myself, Alan Cantor, Miska, Solomon, and myself. So we are, you know, it's not Gary having free reign. There is direction given by the gallery group. So we meet with Gary on a weekly basis, or excuse me, a monthly basis, or every 6 weeks. We give him direction on where to go. And we, of course, absorb his feedback, but it's definitely not a free reign. It's definitely driven by this committee.
So then Hannah, in the budget, Gary is Explorer Media Group of the 3,100.
Yeah, I just, in the page I was looking at.
Yeah. So with the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce is going to be presenting, Jim's going to be probably presenting here later this afternoon. Have you been in contact with them? Have you been coordinating with that, with Jim and the Chamber, and you're talking about how you're going to support the event, or?
Yeah, we have not, based on having this meeting. Last year, we did make a donation on our own without TAF. We did, but right, without the TAF, we did make a donation to help them. You know, we want to support them. They support us. So we haven't, you know, I basically took this off. Yeah.
Talking to each other about how we're going to support the event.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is based on what we did previously. So, you know, that's where we would go with it with him. And if not, then we come back to you, just say we don't need the funds then at that point.
Okay.
But this would be the target that we would do. As far as the advertising is ourselves, the social media is ourselves. So basically the event brochure would be the one that and we do have 2 members from the gallery group that are on the chamber committee for stormy weather.
Perfect.
So Michelle from Basalt and Miska are both sitting on that.
Yeah.
And previously, before that, Miska had an employee, Julie, who was on the committee last year. So we do have talk with them. Yes.
Good.
I had one quick question, Steve, and it's kind of a side note that we'll be discussing later on, but are you guys utilizing any of the video clips that the chamber has been kind of collecting for media purposes? They're doing video snippets. I don't know whether or not they've been of your particular events, but I would assume so.
Yeah, I think they've been in 1 or 2, and I would say that we probably have not used it as well. We're in the process of updating, you know, our advertising going forward. So, you know, that would be something that we could utilize.
So it sounds like you haven't used them up to this point.
No, we have not used them up to now.
Because that's a really good point, Libby. This committee has, over the last several years, funded chamber to shoot videos of various events, including tax supported events. And then also edit them to certain sizes based on different event needs, that if you want a 30-second versus a minute versus a 2-minute, they have money to edit those. So there are those clips are available.
Okay.
And maybe that's something for you guys to look at using on your site or various gallery sites to promote the event.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. That's just.
I think the word hasn't gotten out that those exist.
Yeah, that could be. I know the Morrissey's have done
Right.
a lot of it. I don't know if that's exclusive.
Seth has, yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
And I 2 or 3 times he's filmed in my gallery during an event. And right now, I'm sure you know Sierra is working with James Reeves, I think it is,
Okay.
for another chamber thing, and that's coming up pretty soon. They're coming to town to film, and so there's ongoing, which is fabulous.
Right.
Video is so difficult to not look at. You
Right.
know, it's beautiful scenery and artwork and stuff.
Right.
I think is a win-win. So certainly there's nothing that would, there's no bad blood. There's nothing that would,
Sure.
it's like, sure.
Yeah.
I think what this committee would like is to see those clips be used, right? Because we're spending money every year to either film events or to give them money to edit the existing videos to certain sizes for your use. So they're out there.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Thank you, Libby.
Welcome.
No, I mean, I feel like I know the event fairly well from
Right.
the business side, and I sat in on a couple of the gallery group meetings in the past, so I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what you're asking and everything.
Drea, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. I think that this is a great event and that the gallery group has kind of this symbiotic relationship between themselves and the city. And I guess I can't imagine one without the other in this event, and it brings a lot of people during the off season. That's it. I guess it was a comment.
Yeah. Well, and typically a really attractive demographic coming at that time, right?
Yeah,
Not somebody that's looking for a deal because it's off season, but somebody that's coming in to look for art and they are all looking for a nice bottle of wine too, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're staying in a nice
nice hotel.
hotel. So it's wonderful and it spreads the wealth around all of our businesses in the community.
Yeah, it's a very highly desirable event. 36 years,
Right.
36 coming. I mean, if you do something 36 years and it's successful, it's gotta build.
Well, and it is morphed too. It's not the same event that it was, right?
True.
Because when you and I started, when I came into town and
Right.
worked on the committee with you, it was going through a metamorphosis at that point.
Yep.
Right? And it's different now than what it was then, but it seems like it still has the following that it had.
I think the one thing I would say is both for the fall and spring is, I mean, fall for us is almost the best season of the year, not the summer, because basically you have the husband and the wife or the partner and partner. You know, you have both people there, and that's when decisions are made really
Right.
quickly and well. And, you know, they're here to have a great experience. They're not here to go do firecrackers or on the beach or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, you get people from all walks, but they're here enjoying themselves, and that we're just contributing to that.
Sure. Fantastic. I don't have anything else.
I do not either.
Okay, past stormy weather.
Yeah, past stormy weather, spring unveiling would be
Okay.
next spring. That is an event that we have done for many years. I believe, Jeff, you may have been one of the people who started this.
Yeah, Kim Barnett pitched the idea 2 or 3 years until I finally heard him say what he was saying, and I kind of went, that's a really good idea. And it was 2000, so this is the 23rd we just passed. And in a lot of ways, it's for the galleries, I think it's even a stronger event. Whether I think they've traditionally Stormy's been bigger, but they've kind of on an equal footing right now. People love the idea of new work that they're getting to see. I mean, it's a wonderful
Yeah,
event,
yeah,
and it works. And it definitely brings the right people to town.
Absolutely.
brings people in. So again, we're shooting for that for the first weekend in May 3rd to the 5th, which is a little bit better every once in a while. It shows up on Mother's Day and we're like, but this year, next year, it should be good. Again, the ask is pretty much a portion of the event. At that time, we usually launch our art brochure, which is sponsorship and memberships as well. What we're looking from an TAP award is basically to help us with the advertising side, any other cost on the brochure that we can help defer, that would help as well. A small amount of admin. And again, the marketing will support this. All the ads have, for the whole year, we have it out there, although we all, our own galleries start with save the dates, and we send out teasers in our emails, and then we all send our own postcards. So, I mean, we really try to all put an effort behind it, as well as utilizing the memberships and sponsorships and TAP awards as well. And we're all said, we met earlier this week, and we all agreed that 2023 was a good one. But we're really looking forward to, the last year, 2 years ago, post-COVID, that was great. People had money, nowhere to go. So we all did great. And then last year, everybody found places to go. So we did okay. And then this year weather hit everybody bad the first 3 months of the year, but we're starting to really see April and May start to be, and even June start to be good months for us. So we really think that next year's spring unveiling, a lot of people will have rotated their away trips out of the country and should have even a really nice one next year.
Was the passport new for 2023?
No, this is our third year of doing it.
Okay.
It's our third year doing it. And, it's sort of interesting. It takes a little bit of our time. We have people who are just visiting to get the stamp, to get in it. But on the same token, it does it does help us to attempt to drive everybody to all the galleries, which then puts them all over town, which then puts the stores between the galleries. So rather than just go to one and say, okay, I can put in it, we sort of say, gee, if you can go to many, it's a little bit better. And so it's been good. I think we need to improve ourselves on it, because I don't know what we legally can or cannot get as far as information goes. But we at least know how many people came in, and what we're hoping to do is to maybe get like at least a state or a city on there for next year. And then that way we can try to bring more information as to, are these people from here, there? So we continue to try to improve ourselves wherever we can. And that's one area where I think the passport works in moving people around town. But we should do a better job ourselves trying to glean something from there.
Yeah, I'd like to throw in that this was kind of a shift from the way we had done it in the past, because historically on Saturday, there's a schedule, and every 20 minutes to half hour, a little more sometimes, depending on how many galleries are unveiling work. The goal being to get as many people to kind of follow that. Well, with COVID, we're not doing that.
Right.
So this was kind of a way to make sure that we got people as efficiently and safely around town as possible. I think I was skeptical, frankly,
Right.
but I think it worked really well. And it helps some galleries that are newer and don't have maybe the location, like Miska.
Mhm.
She's not right downtown. So you're not going to stumble across her
Right.
as you're wandering around. So I think it really did accomplish what we needed it to.
Yeah, I like the concept that it moves people through town. I do like that because then we're talking about other restaurants, other hotels, other shops that just have a chance at these people. Plus the newer galleries, and there are several new galleries that don't have the established following that Bronze Coast and Jeff Hull have, right? And it encourages people or gives them a reason to go check out those galleries. So I think that your members are probably really appreciative of the Passport program. But as you were talking, Jeff, it gave me the question of, have you gone back to events at certain times like you had mentioned? Have you gone back to like, there's going to be an unveiling at this gallery at this time, and then there's going to be an unveiling at this time, and then so people are kind of caravanning, or have you stopped that?
We haven't brought back the full tight schedule on Saturday.
Okay,
Traditionally, Friday's just been wide open.
right.
But we wanted to be careful that we didn't have someone brand new at the same time as somebody that was established with a big following.
Right.
So that's why we established that, and we rotated the schedule every year so that somebody wasn't always first or last.
Sure.
There were kind of blocks that we moved people through town. And it worked great, and I suspect it will come back in some form. We've always been trying to figure out what we can do on Friday night or Friday afternoon and evening and Sunday morning till maybe 1 or 2,
We're very appreciative of that, right?
Yeah, we all,
Being here
yeah.
on Saturday night as well, instead of leaving Saturday afternoon. Yeah, get another night out of them staying here in town.
And I think
I was appreciative of that, right?
Sure.
in some galleries like ourselves, we've gone back to having a reception on Saturday evening. So that's as a way to keep people there in town. I think for us, and I think for a lot of the other galleries, we do have our own scheduled times. But I think, like Jeff said, we're going back through something. So I think for right now, I think we're going to try and see how this is, because for Friday, I've started scheduling a Friday night showing of an event, even though we just served a little wine and that was it. So, I think as we see how things settle, the dust settles with groups and everything, then we may have to look at a firmer schedule. But I think like Jeff said, for right now, we haven't seen a lot of overlap yet. So. And the one thing I would say about the Passport, especially for newer galleries, is if someone walks in there just to get a stamp, at least they've walked in there, even if they walk out. In my mind, years ago, I worked for a company and I gave out a brochure to a client and a product guide. And I said, if you buy something 5 years from now and I'm no longer with the company, I've done my job today. So if you look at everything is going to be an instant sell, that's really tough. But if you look at it 4, 5, 6, 8 visits, right, you want to drive that person in, because sooner or later they're going to stop there and really look at it.
Sure.
So I think it was a good idea to move it around. So, and we've got it sort of so it looks professional. We're giving gift certificates out just as a sort of reward. So we're trying to prime the pump a little bit. So I think we did 5 $100 gift certificates. And that comes out of the gallery budget. We do that.
Well, and I think there's so much you can do with it too. Like, do you guys go to McMenamins ever?
Mm-hmm.
They have the whole Passport program, and they require that you for a lot of them, take a picture or, answer a question or something like that. So if galleries do want more engagement with customers, that might be an avenue too. And, Eric and I have done ones, not with McMenamins or anything, where they require that you take a picture and then go to Instagram and, post it and tag it and everything. So that's just free advertising.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe in the future, if you want to grow it more, those could be different avenues.
Thank you. Put that down.
No, Joe, I agree with you. I think Passport programs, just getting somebody into your shop is important. And then it gives you an opportunity to interact with them. And that's, to me, is very valuable. So I think that that's a great program. I'm glad to see that it's continuing. I don't have anything else. Hannah, do you have anything else?
Nope.
Libby, Treya, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay,
Nope, don't either.
all right, thank you.
Okay, the next event, when I put this on. And we didn't really know how to do this, so we put this on. This is actually would be for Earth and Ocean in 2024. To try to do it this year without the TAF funding, we could not put it together.
Okay.
That being said, a number of the galleries are going to have shows that weekend. We're not doing as much advertising as we would normally do, but each of the galleries who are going to be involved and do a show are going to do their own advertising. And then we are also going to have at each gallery a list of other events at other galleries. So we want to have an event, but it's not going to be a huge event. There's no name for it. It's just basically, you know, a bunch of galleries just trying to bring people in. So we sort of had that. So we sort of said, what could we do? This was a placeholder year. Earth and Ocean in the past has been very interesting for the group. We've done it twice. Second time it was in rough weather in 2021. The events were a little bit larger, and I think there was a little bit of apprehension that maybe people are going more to events than to the galleries. So what is our return on our investments? At the end of the day, we're a business. We want to help the charity or the nonprofits that we supported, but on the same token, we can't do that if we're not open. So if we're not selling art. So if we,
How have you adjusted the events to?
that's what we're in the process of doing. So you'll see under this, under our new, this is like an updated version of what we're looking at. Is that basically, we're still going to represent and have a certain amount of donations given to the nonprofits, and that 7,500 is a minimum number. Number two, we're going to start, if we go with this, we'll start looking. We already have one. They do actual sculptures out of waste material that they get, and they're down in Bandit. So, you know, we're thinking maybe there might be a way to get them to get some up here and participate. And so we'll have something, but I don't think we're going to be as many events as there was 2 years ago. It's just because the people who are doing it, did a great job, but then they're like shell shocked for a couple of years. And so we want the event to be a good event. We like sponsoring and raising funds for the nonprofits. I think that's a great idea. You know, each of the galleries usually, you know, Eva Dragonfire, she's got a painting that she raffles off for like 6 months to get it. We've done our artists that we feature during that time. We raffle through them. I give, you know, 10 to 20% of the take that weekend to the charity. So I mean, it's nice to have a festival that's good for business, but also good for the community.
Sure.
And so, but at the same token, we have to balance between are we just here for all the community, for the nonprofits and not for ourselves? No, we have to be a nice balance. So I will be taking over as chairman of that committee if we get the funding and decide to do it. And so what you're hearing is pretty much how I will be steering the committee to do.
What differences, if any, do you see in the demographics of the attendees from this event to stormy weather to spring unveiling? Are they the same people coming a third time?
No, I think it's a little bit of a broader amount, because a broader clientele, because I think you have people who strictly care about the environment and they're here for that. But then you have people who care for the environment, but also, you know, spend a lot of money supporting those environmental causes. So it's really I think it's one of the better ones that way because it's a little bit more even-handed was wrong statement, but I think it's a little broader amount of people that you get.
Okay. Are those organizations, those nonprofits, are they promoting the event as well?
Yeah, they have in the past and I will. Yeah, and I mean, we, for the event that we're doing this September, we have drafted a marketing plan to provide each gallery that basically September, June 27th, you send the save the date, then you send your postcards out, then you do this. And I would provide that same schedule with that expectation to the nonprofits.
And Gary you're working with Gary on this as well, is that correct?
A little bit, yeah. From a marketing standpoint, basically, we will probably, or we're going to have to get an event coordinator to really get it where we want it.
Okay.
That was the problem in the past. People did it, took a lot of time from their gallery and then just,
Right.
it takes time. Time is money, unfortunately.
Yeah, they did an incredible job.
Yes.
Eva primarily, but Suzanne
Suzanne.
was involved in the first one heavily, and Alan. And I'm Sharon Amber, a couple others, as I recall. And we were all just kind of in awe of what they did, but there was a price to pay for it. I mean, it just rolled over.
Right.
Because, and as business people, this firsthand, sometimes it's just easier to do it yourself. And it's done well because you have the confidence based on what you've done. But again, there's a price to pay for that.
Well, the time of year, this is not November, right?
Yeah.
This is September.
Running on fumes anyway.
Right, absolutely.
But I think my own personal, from a marketing standpoint, or a selling standpoint, I think having an event is a good draw. It gives somebody, just like you give the individuals a chance to say, hey, let's go do that because it's a good thing to do for the environment. We can get away for this weekend. It's one of the last times we can get away, maybe until November. So in some ways, I think it's for a lot of ways, I think it's a good event just for that purpose. But I really think that it's, and again, I think we've done a lot more than the 7,500. I think we did like 10 or 12,000 we donated in the past. So we do,
I think easily.
Yeah. I think one year we did 23,000. So yeah.
Well,
Oh, I was just wondering, so what level of engagement do you want from the environmental nonprofits with this event? Because I know you donate money from, but.
Right. Well, normally what we would ask them to do is be located in the visitor center so that people could go ask them questions and donate and that from that respect, as far as physically being here. And then if they want to, we have had them visit some of the galleries in the past. It just depends on which one it is. So that's what we would basically do.
Is there opportunity to grow to provide environmental education? Presentations or something at the chamber, that would be from some of these nonprofits?
We could do that. That is one thing. Yeah. My only thing would be the timing standpoint, but if we could set that up, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because I was on the front of Haystack Rock.
Oh, okay.
A couple years ago when I think the 2019 event happened. And, I felt like we probably could have participated more.
Okay.
Given the opportunity to.
Mhm.
And then that would just provide the additional, investment for the guests that are coming or.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm trying
I
to
think this is the kind of big picture stuff that this is where we need some help from the professional world. We can do what we can do, but being able to kind of broaden it out like that is the goal and doable if we just have some help.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gary might be able to bring some of those ideas to you.
Sure.
It's just, not saying that you have to, but he might be able to.
And
I
I
have
have an event coordinator. She has the, or he slash Lee or they
a person.
chance to basically to chase it down.
So my next comment's going to be regarding the date. It's September 13th through 15th next year. That is the weekend that Cottage Tour has historically had, and they are also asking for to hold their event that same weekend. So what this committee would prefer is not having two events on the same weekend.
Sure.
And so wondering if they historically have had that weekend. Is there a possibility that you bump to the following weekend or to a different weekend? Probably the weekend before is right around Labor Day, so that
Yeah.
might be attractive, but
That's the end of Labor Day.
the weekend after, the 20th to the 22nd. That's something to think about, because I think that'd be important, is not to have two TAC funded events on the same weekend.
Okay,
Yeah. That makes sense.
did that in 2019 is when we had the weather. So, well, yeah, we could
I think it
definitely
was-
consider that.
I
Yeah.
think it was 21.
Oh, okay,
When-
21.
When
Yeah, we would
had
definitely,
such-
yeah, we
wet
would
weather.
consider a Bass by that.
Do you have anything else for us?
No, not on that.
Hannah, do you have anything else?
No.
Lydia or Drea, do you have any other questions?
You addressed my question of the date, and the only other thing, when you were talking about educational opportunities, whether it was as formal as a presentation, my brain kind of went to the Earth Day kind of street education stuff too. It might be as simple as, having the nonprofits have a little booth set up too, as people are meandering about, but that was just an idea, as a scope of education.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah, we'll write it down. Yeah, something definitely to consider. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I did that at Jeff's Gallery a couple years ago. I can't remember if it was for Earth and Ocean, but it ended up being like fantastic fundraiser for the.
Good.
Well, and I kind of thought of that because even with it being so public like that, you might draw people that aren't there that weekend for that particular event, but you get them in the galleries. I mean, even a couple weeks ago at Putz, it was, people going through town going, what is this? How can I be involved? Kind of that in your face visibility, I think definitely drives up interest and demand.
Yeah, we still have people at Stormy that go, what's going on?
Right.
Well, 36 years we've been doing it.
And so in our shop, we have brochures, right? And we'll ask people, are you here for Stormy Weather Arts Festival this weekend? No, what's that? Boom.
Yeah.
Here's a brochure that talks about all of the things that are happening over the weekend, right? Yep. Drea, do you have any questions or anything that you'd like to talk about?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys.
Okay,
So
And then-
I think the question though is, can you move it? I think that would be important. Can you move it to the,
yeah, we'll double check. I think we should be able to.
get off of
Yeah,
store weekend? Okay. So then your last ask is for the year-round marketing campaign.
yeah, and that is, what we're trying to do there is, we have these other three events that we do. And so wherever we can bring people into those events by having better advertising, better content, better, press releases, then it works. And, each individual gallery, we're just not in a position to do that. So, but we want the events to be successful. So we talk about them every day, but it's like the Coke bottle the Coke can in front of you. Everybody knows what Coke is, but how much money do they spend in advertising? So that's, I've always been a fan of advertising and it works. We do our own with our gallery, so I understand what that is, but I'm probably a little bit different than a lot of the other gallery owners in that respect. So we think, you know, and unfortunately, though, we also don't have the time, or we don't have the staff, especially with shortages, to devote someone to do just that part of it. So we just felt we're going to put in these events. We need help to make them even better for everybody. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I didn't bring was asked for spring unveiling. Did the Gazette did advertising, you know, asked us, you know, would you guys get this off the insert? And we said, yeah, we decided to do it. And because we did it, there was probably 3 or 4 other businesses in that brochure. So, you know, it's the water lifts boats. So even though people were not even in our gallery group, still in that. So they may not have seen some value to it.
I don't have any questions about this. Hannah, you have any okay. Sarah, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question, what is still new to this whole thing? What is the timeline?
The committee will make a recommendation to council and present it to council at the July meeting. I believe it's the July work session, and then council will vote on it at their August business meeting. And I'm pulling up the schedule real quick, just to make sure I give you all.
Oh, that's, I would just,
And then I believe the first payment, though, doesn't come until. So they would vote it in August, and then your first payment, the first quarter payment happens in November. So you'll know for sure at the August council meeting if they approve the recommendation.
okay, great.
We make we vote on recommendation
I gotcha.
next week, next Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and then those are the recommendations that go to city.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it, guys.
Especially thank you for letting me stumble through my way through that.
All right, I see Tracy here. So get lit. You're supposed to be sitting on this side, Tracy.
No, I'd be recusing this.
Yes, I know. Fan that. We're ready when you are. So we have Libby and Andrea
Yep.
participating via Zoom, and then Hannah and I here. And so we've read the submission.
Uh-huh.
So we'll just open it to you to tell us about.
Get lit?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird because sometimes it's the previous application that you're reviewing, and then sometimes it's so.
We're looking for next year, right? Or do you want us to, do you have
I think we did talk about, I did turn in my final though, and I did not get, I didn't have an interview for that.
We haven't done.
We haven't done those. Okay.
so we'll just go through your application for next year.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is gonna be our final year, but it possibly could be. And so because it's technically our 10th year, even though we had to postpone it for a few years, we're going off it being kind of our 10-year anniversary. And so what we want to do is we want to invite authors that we've already had that were popular back. So I've asked for increased funding because we'll have more authors. We also had the dates secured at the Surf Stand, And then I just found out a few weeks ago that my point of contact is no longer there. So I'm not sure if those dates were held. I didn't sign a contract, but I was told that it was.
That's the April 12th through 14th dates. Okay.
So the program will look similar to what we've done in the past, except for, like I said, we are going to bring more authors back. But I think we feel like the formula works fairly well. We have had people asking us to do writing workshops as well, but it's not a conference we're not doing writing. Writers come to this conference, but that's not really what our focus is. It's really on the readers. And so with that said, we also don't feel like we can charge exuberant amounts for a ticket, which means that we are always at the mercy of getting a grant because we wouldn't be able to afford it. And I think that's a question in the application. And so we want to keep the quality.
It's never going to be self-sustaining.
It's never going to be self-sustaining. And I think I've been pretty honest
Right.
about that.
I think the committee's recognized that for years.
So, so that's kind of what I'm asking for this year. And like I said, a couple things that that didn't work last year, and so I didn't increase the budget, was print advertising. It's not really print advertising, it was digital advertising with a group that is really well known in the industry, self-awareness. And we did spend quite a bit of money for prominent placement. And I didn't see the return from that. I will say though, what I did see was a lot of people signed up for our mailing list. So we captured a lot of new addresses, and we're over 200 now, almost 3. I can't remember, but they come in still all the time. And I imagine it's from clicking on those ads to our website, and then our website right there on the front page says join our mailing list. So I do believe we did get a lot of people joining our mailing list from our advertising, but I just don't feel like we got the return for what we spent.
So one of your first things that you said was, you think this might be your last year. Why don't you expand on that?
I don't know for sure. So we lost one of our committee members, Jeff Womack, passed away. The committee has to decide that they want to still continue to do it. With the amount of people and, with things going on in everyone's lives and things of that nature. So, I'm not positive, but I just don't have full commitment yet from everybody that
2025.
2025.
So date has always been a challenge for you, right?
Mhm.
Got Easter in there, you've got Mother's Day in there. I don't know the calendar for April of 2024. How does that weekend, if this happens on the 12th to the 14th, does that seem to fall on a good weekend for you, or does it?
I think so. It's actually 2 weeks after, actually 2, maybe even 3 weeks after Easter.
Okay.
So Easter's in March this year.
Okay,
It was in April
Right.
last year.
early Easter,
Mhm.
sure, okay, or next,
So early Easter, and then Mother's Day wouldn't be for another 3 weeks. So that's why we kind of picked this date. We felt like it was actually because the dates that we had last year were these same dates, although it's leap year next year, so it will actually look a little bit different. But it was the weekend right after Easter.
Right.
And I think that hurt.
right?
So we didn't want to do that again.
Oh, that makes sense. So numbers of attendees since COVID, was this your first year back from COVID, after COVID? How were the number of attendees compared to 2019? Because you were canceled in 2020, right?
We did.
Canceled in 2020,
We canceled 19, 20, 20,
canceled.
canceled 3 years. We started planning for one and then we had to return the money and I thought that might have been 20.
Yeah, you didn't cancel
Yeah, 21 and 22 is what,
2021 and 22.
is what we,
So how did 23 numbers look versus 19 numbers?
much lower,
Much,
much lower. Mhm.
especially if it's gone for 3 years.
Mhm.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think I mentioned that in my midterm that it felt like I was starting over from scratch with a whole new event. That's what it sort of felt like to me. I did a postcard mailing and I would say probably, I don't know, 20% of those came back with bad addresses. So, yeah. Time to, people move and do different things. I had a family that would come year after year, but now the kids are graduating from college and, just things are
Right.
happening but I've talked to now a couple book clubs. And I have got commitments from them. And so I'm just hoping that, we'll get the word out a little bit sooner. And I think we knew we were going to do it in 2023. We asked for the funding and everything, but I think still some people were a little bit hesitant because it seemed like we'd start to do it. And then right when we, had started to plan again, Omicron and some other things started coming out again and people getting COVID. And so I think it was, we didn't start out with a big bang, we kind of were quietly walking into it, I guess, so to speak. It felt like, because of that fear of not being able to do it, maybe, I don't know exactly, but, and also we were recycling what we had to cancel from 2020. And so I think that, that was a little bit tricky as well.
What does that mean? We were recycling what we did.
Because those were the authors that were scheduled to come. And we had commitments from some of them, but not from others, if we did have it in 2023. And then we did finally get commitments from everyone because we wanted to make sure to honor, if they still wanted to come, that we wanted to have those same authors. The authors were fantastic. They may not have been as well known as some of our past authors. And that might have hurt a little bit as well. But that's why I think for this anniversary event that we want to throw, these are authors that have, they're pretty well known.
Okay.
So.
So I see that you have money set aside for 7 authors.
Mhm.
Is that the expectation?
Mhm.
Because usually you have what, 4?
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, if there's some authors who, waive, we could maybe get more. It really just sort of depends on what it looks like as far as, but I did put in for 7 in the budget. I thought I'd put in for more actually, but maybe it's 7. I don't have my budget.
Counted 7 lines for travel honorarium and hotel.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about
Okay.
right. We did meet after the last event, kind of talk about what worked, we talked about what didn't work exactly, what we could do better. And we did come up with a list of authors that we thought we would ask. So that's.
So it's going to be like a greatest hits year,
Yeah, I think so.
which is fantastic. I mean, if you have your most popular authors, right, all coming back together,
Yeah,
that should be successful.
I think so.
Like the concept.
I think. Especially if we get a kind of a crime or forget the other group that the only reason that some of my attendees attended were because that's all they read. And so we haven't had a crime or it's not horror, but what would Stephen King be? Huh? Yeah, kind of like that. That's what they're into. And so if we have one of those authors, I think that would also draw some of the people that we've lost.
Mhm. Interesting.
Yeah. And I still want to do the after the events, if possible, that we did on Friday. So I don't know what that will look like exactly, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, those were those were well received from, we hosted an event right at the line.
And we changed it to music. That was something that we had decided to do because we had, all the literary events, but
Right.
we thought, even music would tie in with that.
Right.
And so I don't know if we'll do music again this year. We had the the wine author the one year, which was, that's something like that, or a cookbook author or something.
Nice job.
Yeah, something that we're thinking about as well. So it wouldn't just be a reading from
Sure.
an author. But
Well, I know that our tasting room was full when Bob played
Mhm.
that night. And before anybody showed up, when he and I were talking about it, I just said, tell the story about the song, why, how you wrote this song, what you want to tell with this song, or why you're choosing to sing this song tonight, the story about what this song means to you. And so those little, because it's a room of people that like stories, right?
Mhm.
And it was just fun to hear him talk about those
Yeah.
songs, how he wrote the song or why he chose that song and what it means to him.
Well, that's why I asked him. So we were actually supposed to have the Fisher Poets. They were going to play John and Jay, and something came up. And so they weren't available when we were able to reschedule because they were scheduled in 2020. And that was one thing that I did kind of remember about Bob, is that often he would kind of talk about the song or
Right.
something. And so I was glad that worked out for him to be able to do that, because I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think that did add to that event. Because that's what we thought about with the musician, with the music.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for us?
I don't think so.
So I see, so you're asking for 40,
Mhm.
and look at the budget, it's estimated at 50. Is the additional 10 coming from other grants, or is that coming from budget from Sullivan Arts?
No, so what normally that comes from, well, obviously we want registrations and we feel like our registrations will increase. And then I've gone out and asked for sponsorship. I didn't do that last year because the sponsors who sponsored us, it carried over. And so we already had that in our banking account to be able to use.
Okay.
So
And then my other question is regarding the Savannah Arts admin fee that's 4,000 on there.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So that is basically because they're the nonprofit hosting it. It's a fundraiser, and that's pretty common with a lot of the different events that used to be held. So like Yoga Festival would do an admin fee to Friends of Haystack Rock, being their nonprofit. Also, raising money for them. Same with the wine. That money goes back to the shelter, things of that nature. So that's what that is.
Okay, so kind of like a fiscal sponsor fee then?
Yeah, but they also work. I mean, the Sullivan Arts Colony, because they are this nonprofit arm of the sponsor, so they'll help with working the event or advertising, or, they also do some planning in that. So it's sort of that, it's kind of the portion that we're giving them for the fundraising, that paying them, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. Hannah, do you have any other questions?
Nope, that was it.
Libby or Drea, any questions?
I just have one. Tracy, you mentioned that one, you didn't see a great return on the digital advertising. I wasn't sure how much of that was of the 9,000.
Almost all of it.
Almost all. So if you were to keep the same budget going forward in the advertising realm, how would you switch that to think that you're gonna, I mean, to get more bang for your buck, if that makes sense?
For shelf awareness, I wouldn't do it as much and I would not do the higher priced advertising. I would actually, they have different sizes and columns and where your placement is. So I would go back to what we've done in the past. I also, at the last minute, bought some ad spots on Coast Radio and, Portland Mercury, which I would do, I would use more money for those than I did because if I didn't have the budget for it.
Gotcha.
So I would shelf awareness has a pretty big reach all over. In fact, I'm on a newsletter for a bookseller in Utah. And right there, they always like shelf awareness, shelf awareness. So I know they have a huge reach of people that we're trying to reach, but I just think I need to hit more local, even though it needs obviously to have to travel. But
Yeah.
Portland, Seattle, those kind of things are where we're really drawing from.
Right.
And that's where I need to concentrate my marketing efforts.
Yeah, so Powell Books, what are you doing anything with Powell Books or through Powell Books to have them?
No, I sent an email to the contact that I have and it bounced. So I have to find out who would be the person that I would need to talk to. They're not super, I mean, we've been able to put flyers in the stores, but as far as in their newsletter or anything like that, we've never really been able to. I mean, they're kind of doing their own book events. And so I'm sure that might be part of it.
Okay.
But maybe there's maybe they have a, pay for ad that we could do, which I think that would be a better
Right.
way to spend our money than it would be in shelf awareness.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trey, did you have anything?
I do not.
All right. You have anything else for us, Tracy?
I don't think so.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, thank you guys. I mean, like I said, we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for the funding that we get, and we very, very, very much appreciate it. So.
All right. Then we're going from Tolovan Arts Colony to the History Center.
Yeah.
Welcome, ladies.
Hello, Stephen. Anna.
So we received your submission. We've had an opportunity to read it. And so now this is your opportunity to talk to us about the event, and then if we have questions, we'll ask.
Cool. So next year, which is what this grant, I have to remind myself because of the
For next
timing,
year,
calendar.
right?
Yes, next September will be our 21st cottage tour, which we're really excited about.
I don't know where to start. Sorry. I know we're currently planning for the 20th year.
So I keep
banner
getting my
year. So
details.
it's been a lot of planning and prepping.
Determined, is that?
Right, yes. So, yeah.
Well, so this year we're doing the greatest hits, right? And so that's been letting us play around with the ideas for next year. And a few cool ideas that we're floating right now, because we still haven't nailed it down yet, is maybe like a West Side, Best Side cottage tour where it's like oceanfront houses, or Tolovana is also a really cool one because we have so much amazing history with the Warren brothers from planning down there. And then also we're thinking of maybe doing like a historic property so that it's not a historic home anymore. That would really make it flexible because a lot of the original cottages are being torn down and they're building other stuff.
Right.
So we're trying to keep it flexible and like, okay, maybe historic property and, highlight where the Brooklyn camp tent camps were. And so, yeah, so we haven't nailed down the specific idea yet, but I think as we get through this year, we're starting to think more about next year, of course.
Yeah, and I feel like after 20 years, I feel like we've been able to really streamline it very well and organize it. We've been like the longest organizers I feel like I've been affiliated with it for, gosh, I volunteered in 2011 for 2 years, and then 2013 on,
Mhm.
been working it. So I feel like we know the tour very well and how it operates and what works well for it. So
And that includes ads and marketing, which is why you see the jump in our ask number, because marketing and ads have gone up significantly in the last 2 years. It's really wild, but even just this year, a lot of them went up to maybe by $1,000, and even giving us the nonprofit discount, we still are seeing at least like a $700 difference from some of them. And then also in the same respect, we also got some discounts that we were able to make the budget more exact, a little bit more exact, as far as budgets go.
we do see
because-
really good response from the advertising,
Mm-hmm.
specifically Sunset Magazine.
Well, and that's what Julie always asks you about, right? And she's not on the anymore.
Yeah, actually, last year, they distributed copies that our ad was in to airlines. So there
they
was
did that for
over,
free.
I think they said over 10,000 at least people saw that.
Wow.
So, and we asked people when they purchased tickets, how they heard about the event. And so we're able to track that and see, like, we get a lot of people that tell us Sunset
Do
Magazine.
we have that data? Did we get that data from you?
Have that data here for this one specifically.
Because that would be fascinating data for us as a committee.
Yeah, we can definitely get it after
Yes.
this tour has wrapped up. We can definitely track, we always track that.
Yeah.
Because it's just her and I.
Yeah.
And then when they book online, they have a survey that they're required to answer that asks them those questions. How did they hear about the event? Where are they staying?
How many nights are they staying?
Where are they staying? Where are they staying at? If they're staying in Cannon Beach, if not, like, where are they staying at? So we can know exactly which hotels they're staying at. And that really helps us track that, especially since it's just the two of us and we don't have any outside people handling things
Mhm.
else. So it really does help.
So one of the earlier applicants that we met with today from the gallery group has asked for funding for an Oceans event the same weekend. So
Okay.
I have asked them, and this committee has asked them to move their event
Oh.
to a following weekend, because this is historically your weekend, right?
Yeah, we
Yes.
usually,
Second weekend.
ever since my understanding, since its inception, it has always been the second weekend in September. So right after Labor Day. We've always, and people know that. We actually have the same people. I've seen some of the same people come since I've at least started working
Sure.
at the History Center. They've said since the beginning, and they know, they put it on their calendar every year. They know it's the second weekend.
Yeah, so you don't want to move that, right? And
So we would prefer not to, if possible.
that has skipped a couple of years, they've bounced it around, and so and this committee has asked them to get off of your weekend.
Oh, that's so
Wow.
generous. Thank you so much. We didn't even hear about that. We've got.
As a committee, we don't want to fund two events on the same weekend. It defeats the purpose,
It
right?
does, because it doesn't, you got so many things going on.
We're trying to bring in people as many days as possible, not all on the same.
Right. And some ways that we've tried to extend our weekend, for as many days as possible. This year, we're doing the high tea by the sea, and it's gonna have like a watercolor drawing component, a watercolor painting class component to it. So it's gonna be really cool because you'll get to come and do the high tea by the sea, and then you'll be led through a watercolor painting class session with Miss Nicole Poole, a really talented artist from Portland that I've worked with at the Arts Association before. And then you'll be able to keep those supplies and you'll be able to so it's really and that's going to go longer on Sunday. So we're really trying to encourage people to stay Sunday and then leave Monday.
So that's a Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon, yes.
That's a Sunday afternoon event that we've extended. We're really beefing it up so that people will consider spending that extra night on Sunday, leaving Monday morning. And then likewise,
Do the same thing next year as well.
Yeah, next
because we
year as
feel like That
well.
would be.
and then last year we implemented the out on the town aspect of the tour, which we loved and the tour goers loved. So we're going to hit it again hard this year. And we're going to
Remind me about that.
So that is when in years past, after the cottage tour, we would have a reception at the museum. Well, me and Liz, at the end of cottage tour, we are dead. So, but we didn't want to tell people to just go home. We wanted to invite them to go out on the town. So Pelican Brewery, they've got a cool, we put an insert in our map and it's got everybody listed on there who's participating and what they're willing to give you if you come in with your cottage tour map. So you come in and they're on there. Pelican Brewery will give you 10% off, a flight. And Water Witch was giving you a cool little gift at the door. And Salty Raven was doing her own raffle for us that you could only enter if you had our map, which was so cool because it's so exclusive and it encourages our tour goers to stay in town and go out on the town, go around our town and get that free drink here and get that, that cocktail there and that appetizer here. And we wanted to get the hotels involved too. And by just offering, even if they, there's a 10% off one night or something. And if you come and you mentioned that you're here for cottage tour, the Stephanie Inn is really interested in that because we've been doing the Uniquely Stephanie Inn experience with them every Wednesday. And that's been really nice. And they've put our event information in their hotel guest rooms. And when they check in, they give it to them. And that's a really helpful thing because then by the time we come talk to them, they're like, so what's this tour about? And it's getting a nice little exposure to our key demographic, especially. So that's been the out on the town aspect has been really cool. So we just want to keep bulking that up and extending that to next year as well.
So let me clarify, the night on the town, is that a one night thing, like Sunday night?
Saturday.
Saturday night,
For a day when you have your map.
right?
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
We could have
Extend it,
it be
yeah.
extended to both the whole weekend.
I was just
Saturday and
thinking,
Sunday.
it seems like, if the last event, like Friday night, you have the reception.
Right.
We do,
The
yes.
opening night.
But what time does the reception end? 7?
Friday, it's from 5:30 to 8, I think, to 8 till 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Most restaurants will be closed by then, so, okay,
So that's why
Yeah, so we
encourage
could extend it.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Is
Saturday and Sunday. and we
Yeah,
could
yeah, so we
definitely.
started on Sunday. And then we had a lot of people that would go to one house and go grab their discount beer. And go
Sure.
to another house and go grab their discount
They
beer.
had plenty of time. 5 hours is
Or
is
like they
quite a
would
bit of time.
go to a house and come to the museum for some wine. And that was really awesome. And they would check out the silent auction there. And so it really encouraged people to come to the museum, but also go to all of our friends' stores, it's and it took all that weight of us putting on a whole other reception event.
Right.
It really maximizes the time and the cost of the tour, for being honest. And I think the out on the town aspect has been really.
And here is it shares the wealth, right?
Yes.
It's the people from that location down to downtown to midtown shops and restaurants and just walking through the town and spending money in other places.
Which is really important.
Important
Yes.
Yeah.
community.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it is our event, but it's also important for people to know what else is in town.
Yeah, they have to understand that this is a little local infusion, it's off season. We're having this event. Go check out our stores. It's, the town is yours while you're here. So, definitely sharing the wealth. Absolutely. And trying to get the new businesses that we're asking to participate, understand how valuable it really is just from our little tiny, we have at least 630 people last year for the whole weekend of events. So that's a nice influx, that
Sure.
to direct them directly to a specific store for this and this and this and this. We thought that was invaluable.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Happy to do that. Yeah, definitely.
It's not off season though.
Oh, it's
Not
not
quite,
off
no.
season, not quite off season.
Not off season,
In my head, it's off. Anything else,
high season. Yeah.
the season shuts down in my head. That's it. I'm off season.
Well, this is a wonderful event, our shop supports it, family supports it. And it just brings it. The town is beautiful at this time of year and these houses are beautiful. All these homeowners just gussy up their house, their landscaping and so just driving through the town and seeing how beautiful it is at this time and then having all these people that, for me, these are great customers, right? These people have money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have never had an issue in all of our 19, 20 years, haven't had an issue with theft, damage, anything like that. Everybody is very respectful and understands to be mindful of other people's
Yeah.
property. So
And they
it
know
is a
this
great
is a
crowd.
fundraiser. It is a great crowd. They know it's a fundraiser, so they definitely come with fundraising money. They're not shocked that there's a silent auction and things start at $250. And so it is really supportive and they really are a great group. And so we want to cater to them as much as possible within budget, but also share this history that is free for all to explore. We just want to let them know this history is free to explore at our museum. Like, come and support us so that we can keep it free to explore.
Ticket price, what's the ticket price?
So the tickets have gone up just slightly because it has not been increased in years.
Mhm.
So it was 40 last year. This year, it's going to be 45 and we'll probably consider keeping it 45 again next year.
But we are implementing a new thing that on the day of the tour, the price will go up to 50.
Yeah.
And I think that will encourage, we like the pre-sales because out of you for grants from the pre-sales. But if you're buying it at the door on the day of, it is a little bit harder to be like, how'd you hear about us? And how'd you, ask all these questions because you're just trying to do it as fast as possible for them so they can get out there. But and in the same hand, they are always super gracious when we send out that end of the year service. Survey, sorry, we tell them like these surveys help us get our grants. And so they're really cool about responding it as honestly and opinionated as possible because it really does help us. Honestly, that feedback is so valuable. So yeah.
And it also prevents like long lines.
Yeah, that too.
So yes,
Yeah.
Not everybody's registering on that.
people, yeah, no grumpy
Right.
people, please.
It'll be a nice.
You
and
can't
then-
please everybody, but
And then our
does.
membership gets their discount as well, of course. And then I think that the high tea by the sea is also going up by $5 this year because of the
It'll be
painting element.
35.
Right, and that, I think that's worth it. You get to take all that stuff home and you have a new skill and we encourage you to paint and stay in town one more night. So it's nice.
And have a true high tea, which is fun.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that?
I don't think I've ever had a high tea myself.
Well, shoot, you
I
got-
should.
It's
Yeah.
something for everyone, seriously. I'm a coffee person, but I love the high tea.
I like how you guys have expanded and, added more components to it. So-
Yeah, we want to give you a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, and we also have a great volunteer group, great core of volunteers that have helped us out so much that we use Kelly Maurer, who owns the Chocolate Cafe, who's on our board. She is like the high team expert. So we
She
kind of
is.
have her leading that to set, take it on and
Yeah.
help us. And that's how we've been able to kind of expand on things and just using their the things that they're good at
Yes.
to, our advantage as well. And it really helps us out so much. So
Fantastic. Well, this sounds great.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions, Hannah.
No.
Libby or Drea, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just had a side note that I appreciate your social media presence throughout the whole year, and I think that's something that, you guys definitely can keep growing and capitalizing on.
oh,
Thank you so
promoting
much.
events. So,
I would say it's 99% her. I just
She
answer a
helps me
lot of the
Yeah,
questions.
she answers a lot of the questions for me.
And that's another thing too,
that
that's made a great impact on us,
Mhm.
their social media following. We almost have 8,000 followers.
Yeah.
which is huge.
Now it's over 8. We're
It's
like,
over
yeah,
8.
we're like 8.2.
Okay, well, that's great. So
Keeping track.
that helps us out, I will say. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Definitely.
thank you.
Can I have a quick, your Liz Scott, right?
Liz, yes, that's me.
Make sure.
That's okay. Yes, I did get married, so that, yeah, that's my new. Yeah, thank you.
I got Andrea, but.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come see me about wine.
I will, you know I will.
Sit with me. Oh.
All right, Comedy Festival.
I really should start preparing a joke for this, but I'm not,
You should.
I'm not a comedian. I'm not funny. It's just how it goes. Thank you, committee. Hi, Libby, hi, Drea.
Hello.
Oh,
Missing Greg. Swedenborg, sad
Greg
to,
is,
I know.
he's resigned.
No, I'm sad to hear that.
Yep. Greg resigned.
It was, I'll tell you about it. Yeah, okay, so I have some
I'm back to the chair of the committee.
prepared remarks to begin with.
Okay,
Go on from there. So heretofore, the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival has existed in a series of fits and starts. The event began when a former member of this committee, the late Tom Drumhiller, saw something. The first year, the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival was awarded about a rounding error of $285, but that was a planting of a seed. Hit some snags along the way, but we also did a lot with a little, and we brought attendees a whole lot of laughs. In 2023, thanks to the support of this committee, we finally arrived, or rather approached, actualizing the initial vision of the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival. And that vision is offering a vibrant and profound art form in an amazing venue that people are willing to travel for. The 2023 festival truly surpassed our expectations. You have the numbers in front of you, but suffice to say, the shows were awesome, well attended. Saturday was a complete standing room only sellout, and it hurt me to turn folks away at the door, but I did. I had to. We were able to book acclaimed, nationally renowned headlining comics. The shows and the ticketing went smoothly, and we drew a significant number of visitors from over 50 miles away. We also presented some great art that brought the audience closer, and I want to kind of hang on that for a minute. When it comes to booking comedians, developing a diverse bill is paramount to me, because comedy is more than just silly or pointless jokes. A comedy in 2023 is about sharing a point of view, and we're committed to continue giving the stage to talented comics who come from a range of different viewpoints, representing a spectrum of orientation, heritages, genders, and so on. So it's truly my hope that everyone who comes away from the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival not only finds the shows hilarious, but leaves them with some food for thought. I think we're really, beginning to maybe not scratch the surface, but see what's possible and realize the benefits that Comedy Festival can bring. And there is plenty of room for growth as we move forward. So that's my prepared spiel.
so I'm looking at the ask.
Mhm.
A little over 20,000 for 2020, and that's for 2024. For 2023, it was 10,800. So not double the ask, but close to that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Sure.
That $10,000.
So I learned, like I said, I learned a lot in this. When you're booking traveling comedians, we have to, the way a traveling comedian works, a club, they'll do 4 to 5 shows in a weekend. So you're competing with a pretty solid, amount of earnings. I also found out, I was talking to, agencies like CAA and WME, the big Hollywood talent agencies, they hear the word festival and they're like, oh, but quite simply, we got the biggest comedian who happens to live in Oregon. He relocated to Oregon due to the pandemic and had like a family home there. I mean, he's you know, almost, you could call him like a citizen of the world because he's somewhere every weekend. And we were able to build the festival around him. And it was, you know, one of our highlights is to offer like, hey, you know, rather than doing 5 shows in Cleveland this weekend, you could come to the beach. And we pitched it to him like, hey, you're close by, bring your girlfriend for do 1 show, have a romantic weekend at the beach. But that was our one biggest Oregon headlining comedian. So in the future, if we're going to keep the talent high, it's going to be people that are coming from farther away who are going to require more funds to book. I mean, like, I was able to secure him and built the whole festival around that headliner. Like that was.
And that was for this past year.
Yes,
correct.
Well, there's a number of clubs in Portland that have comedians. Like, would there be opportunities to get a second show out of somebody who's already touring in Portland?
I don't think that would give the people from Portland the reason to come out if they could just see them at home. And I would very strongly wager that they have a radius clause. Like I had radius clauses with people that, you can't perform within X amount of miles at another club for X amount of time. And I would be stunned if they didn't have those at those clubs. But again, it's more about, I wouldn't want to get someone, and I was looking at the clubs when I was doing the booking, and I felt like anybody that was within a good handful of months at the club was kind of just out, just based on that, we want to have something exclusive here to make you want to come.
So you have it listed as March 2024. Are you going to try to avoid spring break this year?
Yeah, so the coaster had that, I think that's the sweet spot. The coaster has a 3-week break there every March, which allows us a little bit of wiggle room in booking. Like, again, I was able to get this comedian because he had 1 hole in his schedule, 1 weekend where he wasn't traveling somewhere. So that 3-weekend buffer is a real gift in terms of scheduling flexibility. So there's not too many breaks at the coaster weekends. So, and then I've said in the past, and I thought for a time that, this is uniquely suited to be a good, wet, dark time of the year event. But I think at least into March, the risk of the past freezing and there being snow diminishes, because that could just, in a February ice storm, that could just torpedo the whole thing. And even this year in March, the weekend before the festival was one of those gnarly, ice is frozen. And I see this from working at the bistro, because we get a lot of, people in town from, visitors. And on those, when we have those weekends and the pass freezes up, just no business, so. I still, like knock on wood, an ice storm could hit in March, so, so I wanted to take off the table, January, February. It's just too risky.
So when I'm looking at your operating costs, the first thing is headliner performer contract times 2. So is that for 2 nights or is that 2 different contractors?
Times 2, that would be 2. Well, let me see. No,
Friday and Saturday night for the same performer?
No, we only have them
Perform.
do 1 show. Yes, 2 different.
Okay.
I can put
Okay.
my own budget here.
I had one
Oh,
question. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
No, please.
I was the one that waited to the last minute, so I could only attend Friday, but so I know you had a headliner for each of the nights.
Yes.
Were the comedians prior to that the same for both nights?
It was a completely different show, no duplicates,
Okay.
5 different comedians each night.
What percentage of the ticket sales were the combo tickets for Friday and Saturday?
I have that in my notes here. It's all listed out, each
Okay.
individual thing, but I have it here.
And I guess I'm asking that, I know now I understand part of when you're saying it's fewer shows for the headliners, easier, more relaxing weekend for them. Of course, the marketing person in me goes, okay, demand, obviously the demand, because Friday night was pretty close to sold out, at least from my visual. Do you think that layering in, I mean, is there a way to do a 2-show Saturday night? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, like an early and a late.
There could be, and that's done. I mean, but you know, that's probably going to double each performer's cost.
Okay,
I don't think, I mean, like you might get a slight break on that, but you know, if they're playing 2 sold out shows, I don't know why they wouldn't want twice as much money.
yeah,
So I don't have it. I have it. I only put the heads and beds data here for you guys. So for the total weekend passes sold, there were 48 weekend passes, but that's only people that came from over 50 miles away. So there were more weekend passes sold. I don't have it handy.
okay,
That's the number of people that came from 50 miles away and bought 10 passes.
okay, perfect.
You have introduction acts for each performer?
Yeah, so so there's 5 performers each night. There is a host who runs the whole show. They'll be back on and off stage, and then you have, you know, and increasingly throughout the night, the performers raise in stature and get a little more time before the headline.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I had a great time. I thought it was very well run.
I want to, sorry. I want to bring up something that was said during the midterm. I'm sad that Julie is no longer on the committee. She mentioned this, and I felt it as well, that it drew a different, younger audience to town. I don't know if you guys remember her mentioning that, but I think, you know, anecdotally and just looking around that room, you could see that this is, you know, a younger generation of folks that were coming.
Do we know where they were staying, spending the night? Were they driving back to Portland? Were they staying here? Do we have?
I assume most people were staying. I mean, it's getting, you know, the show's getting out at 9 p.m.
Mhm.
And, you know, especially, you know, anybody who's buying a weekend pass from Seattle or, you know, even farther than Portland, I can't imagine that they're.
Right.
I had one room that was people purposefully attending the
Mhm.
fest, and then we had comedians in the second room, so.
You asked the question, like Poster Theater asked the question, right? And it's not scientific.
Yeah.
By hands, and Patrick does a quick scan and gives us a number, right? Did you do
I
that?
didn't do that because I was collecting every single data was a credit card sale and we had that data. And then I noticed when I got up on stage because I wanted to do the quick, you know, business, thank the committee and all that. The spotlights were so bright in my eyes that there's no way I could have seen people. It was like blinding. But yeah, I thought that the committee had asked for.
Yeah, I saw the credit card.
Credit card,
And I'm just wondering if we knew where they were staying.
I also found, I liked the snippet at the end about, you know, going and visiting restaurants and whatnot, which is what we did, you know, after the Friday night show. I don't know if there's a way to promote that, or, you know, maybe have some places particularly be aware of those nights and staying open later, or offering a discount. You know, we talked about spreading the wealth with the previous Cannon Beach, you know, 10% off or this, that, or the other, but that might be a good piggyback opportunity.
Yeah, and
Show.
absolutely. And I think before as well is you know,
Yes,
when the national, I don't know if it was the National Endowment of Arts or somebody, but they did a Clatsop County Arts Survey. And, you know, they factor in before a show at the Liberty Theater or something like that, that, you know, a lot of people are gonna go out, have dinner and
Sure.
drinks, you know, then that's just kind of part of the economic impact of performances like these.
You have anything else for us?
I want to mention a quote. So we got some coverage in the Willamette Week. And I'm going to read you the quote. It said, it was one of their picks for the week. You know, the things to do this week. And the quote is, the price for 2 days of comedy is only $35, which is as good a deal as any as you can get in, and this is their subquote, everything is overpriced, Cannon Beach. So I want to, you know, I foresee maybe raising tickets a little bit, but I want to keep this accessible, and really the, you know, the cost of this is the travel, the hotel room, you know, and all that stuff. So if we can do our job in luring, you know, people to come with the lower ticket price, I think it is a more attractive option.
Well, I see a lot of opportunity for growth, and, you know, I think it would be cool to do like, you know, smaller sessions at like McGregor's or Other Brother or something like that. But I'd also like to see opportunities for potentially lesser known, like local. I mean, I don't know that any of us are comedians, but
John Cole.
I would,
is the one.
I think in Astoria, they do like some open mic nights, and it would be a nice way to and, you know, engage the locals.
I've thought about that, like a midnight or like an after midnight, but like, you know, but like after the main show, you know. Also thought about a Sunday brunch kind of show. There's certainly opportunities for that. I don't know. I bet there's 3 or 4 comics in Astoria of varying experience, but I don't know. I'd love to see if somebody would get up from Cannon Beach and have a routine. I would be
Maybe after.
pleasantly
surprised.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I can help you with that. Well, it's interesting because I was trying to figure out how do you grow this event? Because it's a 2-night event. And if you have one show each night, you're limited by the constraints of the Coaster Theater size, right? So 200 people, 198 people. And so, you know, Libby suggested another show, an early show, a later show, other locations. Those are opportunities to grow that and also spread the wealth then, right? You have Other Brothers Bar or McGregor's or someplace, then you're driving people to an after party show, right?
Yeah.
And I think that those are great things to think about.
I mean,
down the road.
there could be a world. I wouldn't say it would be next year or, you know, but down the road, if it really does go to a point where we're regularly selling out. And that's really all based on, you know, do we get the comics of a certain level?
Right.
You know, 2 shows could be, like I said, it's a standard practice in the industry. So, yeah. I would say that I know we have, you know, the school maybe coming and stuff like that, but the Coaster is an awesome venue for it. I had one of the headliners tell me, he's like, this is the best kind of setup. He was like, I love it when the performer is on the floor and the audience is in a stadium around them rather than elevated and, you know, creating that distance. I mean, I couldn't design a better venue for comedy than the Coaster.
I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
I should say thanks to Patrick in the back.
I do not, but I have no questions, but I look forward to this event next year. I do.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick. We're right on schedule.
That committee has shrunk.
We're short 3 people.
Really? Are you looking for 3 people to join the committee?
Will be, yes,
Wow.
will be. We have 2 vacancies published right now. And we're going to be having 1 more. Stan.
How's that? I thought just some people were out sick.
Nope.
So I don't know, do you ask me questions? You want me to
Why
just?
don't you start? Why don't you start and then we'll ask questions because we do have your submission in front of us. And we've read it. And so why don't you start and then we will ask questions.
I think I have my wrong budget. Do you have a budget total of 40,400?
I do.
Okay, so I'm looking at an older one, which is off by a little bit. But what we're hoping to have the TAF committee fund for the 2023-2024 season are 3 special events plus the marketing that we do. So just to go to the bottom part of the budget, first thing is the ads. We run ads in Skies America, which is Broadway Across America program. And those are the shows that are at the Keller, the big musicals and shows that they bring in through there. So we run ads locally, or we run ads in those. And I get quite a bit of comments from people that say, oh, we saw your ad at the Keller. And then the other ones on here are just various publications and what have you that reach past the 50-mile radius for the for the TAF grant requirements. And so that's what that part is. The first part of the budget is the 3 special events that we'd like to offer. The first is Darcel 15. We'd like to offer that in September. And that is a drag show out of Portland. I don't know how many of you might be familiar with Darcel. Darcel is well known. Actually, Darcel just passed away last spring, right after I booked the show. Darcel passed away, but they're still doing the show. And it's now actually becoming more of a tribute to Darcel. And so that's the event we'd like to do in September. And then in the holidays, Patrick Lamb has a piece called The Charlie Brown Christmas, which is a tribute to Vince
Giraldi.
Thank you. Vince Giraldi, who wrote the music for the Charlie Brown Christmas TV show that you know, plus other music. So it's a salute to him. But the beauty of his program is he incorporates a local children's choir into the show. So this particular event is going to coincide with my winter camp. So the kids will work Monday through Thursday they'll have a camp experience. And in that camp experience, they will also be learning the songs that they'll then perform on Friday night with Patrick Lamb. And the beauty of it is not only just a sense of community, but that our students here on the coast get an opportunity to work with a professional musician. And Patrick coming out of Portland should hopefully pull people in from the Portland area as well. Then the last event we're looking for is our big spring event. We like to do something big in the spring. We did Pink Martini this year, I guess, it seems like that was already seems like a year ago. And so we were thinking of a Beatles cover band, and I've approached one. I wasn't very impressed with their pricing or their attitude. I'll just say that it's interesting working with different bands and different people and how they come across. And unfortunately, we don't work with bands very much directly. I work with their agents. And the agents don't seem to really know what the band wants or needs. So it's a different situation. But now I'm thinking, so we're going to bring something in. I don't know what exactly. I may consider Curtis Salgado again in the spring. I'm looking into, I actually just reached out to Jim Stafford, if you know who that is. Jim Stafford wrote Spiders and Snakes. He's about 79 right now. He still performs down in Branson, Missouri at his own theater. And just classic storyteller, songwriter type of character. So I'm thinking of possibly doing something like that. So the Beatles cover band was what we kind of proposed, but that could totally change with a totally different type of event. But the fees that we're looking at would stay the same. So whatever I brought in, I would keep them at that same fee that we have for the spring event. And I think that's really it. So I don't know if you have any questions about it or concerns.
So, go ahead. Go ahead,
sorry.
Libby.
Oh, no, I was just looking at the differential between the ask last year and this year, and I presume that's due to the not having Pink Martini.
Yeah, Pink Martini is quite expensive. They actually they cost me more than I got from you guys this year by just a couple $100. So yeah, they're very, very pricey. So yeah, Jenny and I discussed it. I said, let's not pad it. Let's not try to be unrealistic. Let's simply address what we're trying to do this year versus last year. So that's why the ask is smaller.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So I was gonna ask about Patrick Lamb. I mean, the guy sells out all over the country. He struggles.
I know.
What is up with what's
That's what's so, I have to it's so many things right here. And I have a little bit of I can't quite describe it. It's a lot of personal things about it, but it seems that Pink Martini is the only thing that sells.
right?
Patrick Lamb comes in. He doesn't really, he's gotten, every year he gets progressively better. I think this one will have a real draw because it has the kid element and it's in the holiday time. This is kind of the spot where last year we had, Kristen's sister, Lauren Kinnan. So there's a kind of that local feeling in that respect. But no, I agree. Same thing with Three Leg Torso.
Right.
Three Leg Torso, wonderful group. And they just don't do that well here. So I don't know if it has to do with, 70% of our audience are tourists. And so I don't know if that's part of it and that the tourists don't recognize the bands. Where they'll come to the play because they know it's a theater, they know it's a show. They may not know the show, but they're going to come anyway because it's going to be a theatrical experience. Where the bands, like they maybe don't know the band, so I really don't know. It's something we've been struggling with for years. Why these really, like Patrick Lamb's a perfect example. He's super popular in Portland, around the country, around the world.
Right.
But yeah, to get to him to sell out here,
Right.
it's just so, I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, I follow him on social media and he sells out all over the country, right? And here, and it's a struggle and I just don't understand it. I don't know. I just don't understand.
We don't do, we don't market it any differently than we do anything else, but yeah, so I don't know a reason for that. That's why I want to start exploring maybe even bigger names. Like I said, Jim Stafford, people that are just a little notch up, but not quite as expensive as Pink Martini, which is, if you get a solo artist or a duet, that's going to save a lot of money. As you recall, Pink Martini's a huge group. Shoving them onto our little stage was quite interesting. And I have to apologize, Jenny meant to be here today, but she's actually running another meeting right now, so she couldn't make it.
I don't have any other questions. Do you have anything else for us?
No, not really. Again, we're always very thankful for this. We wouldn't be able to offer these kind of special events without the TAP funding. So we're very, very appreciative of anything that you choose to give us, and whatever you give us, we'll make it work, within our budget.
Hannah, do you have anything else?
What is that? When's the cottage tour this year? Because I think,
Mhm.
okay, that's what I was thinking, because I think Darcel is scheduled for the same weekend that,
September 17th.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'll advertise through the cottage tour. We actually were part of the cottage tour last year. Our building was part of the cottage tour.
Sorry, it's the 8th through the 10th. It's a weird,
Oh,
no, month starts on a weekend, so.
So yeah, next year, they're the 13th to the, or the
Yeah.
15th to the 17th, something
Yeah,
like
I
that,
just
13th to the 15th.
run into the same thing that we discussed
Right,
earlier.
right. Libby or Drea, do you have any questions?
I do not.
No questions.
All right, Patrick, thank you.
thank you very much. I hope you get a chance to enjoy the second day of summer.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful out there. Today's the second day of summer. Hello all.
Jim,
Yeah.
You ready to start early?
yes, you are.
Enjoy the beautiful.
There's music in the park in 2 hours, right?
Correct. We'll be done before. Not sure if you guys have done.
Okay.
All right, you have two submissions.
Yes.
You want,
Seem very familiar. to you.
yes, they do. If I do the fat bike first.
Sure.
Okay, so we've received the submissions and have reviewed them. Why don't you kind of walk us through the submission and we'll ask questions.
Sure. So Fat Bike went very well this year. We had beautiful weather again, which worked out very well. We grew the participation this year. Pretty substantial numbers.
Last year, we had 31 attendees and this year we had 53. A good portion of those registering for the event day of.
Your weather was fantastic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You had beautiful weather for the weekend.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, that worked out really well. Oregon Rides and Events is running this event. They have been since the beginning. They do a fabulous job with this every year. And in our efforts, when we first pitched this way back, we wanted to be self-sufficient in 5 years, and then COVID came along and kind of derailed that effort, but we're making strides to move in that direction again. We're adding sponsorships that we want to reach out and see if we can find some people to take those sponsorships, and grow this event now that it's kind of back on its feet. We also worked very well with State Park to coordinate e-bikes into the event, which have been not allowed on the beach for as long as we can think of. So our event was really one of the first events that allowed that to happen. And I think that really helped us garner some more participants this year. And we look forward to increasing that again next year. The further we get away from the pandemic, the more people are apt to participate. Daniela and Elliot with Oregon Rides and Events are putting on other bike events. So they're very well connected throughout the state and really the whole West Coast about different bike events. And they think we could reach 100 very quickly in this event, which would be pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I believe they said the last event, they could easily see 75 people next year. But they're also very enthusiastic and optimistic that it could be 100. Looking forward to that growth.
so if you had 53 attendees, I only see 24 room nights. And 12 room nights times 2 nights per attendee.
Most of our attendees were either camping, staying with friends, or out of town,
Okay,
or in vacation rental homes as well.
okay, well, that's a room, right? Not in our hotels, but in a short-term vacation rental.
We did have some who were day trippers as well, so
Mhm.
they didn't stay within.
Sure, I get that.
So,
That. So anecdotally, we did not see a lot of people at the wine shack. I was really surprised, like 5. And so you have a passport, right? So does the passport program not, because we saw a lot the previous year, not as many this year. So I was wondering, what do you think drove that? We're the only ones that they didn't come into our shop.
you're not the only ones to tell us that. The passport program this year, as you know, was digital. Part of the motivation behind that was ease of use for the business owners. We wanted to take the onus off of you. Aside from putting up the sign with like the password they would use or them checking in outside of the business. Unfortunately, we did have a lot of confusion with how that worked. We also ran into issues with Midtown being kind of a cellular black hole. So so it was a learning experience for us. It was the first year we'd done it through our Experience Cannon Beach app. So that was probably a good portion of the reason that you may not have seen
Right.
a lot of people.
Okay. Because to me, the whole reason for the passport is to have them come into the shop,
Exactly.
right? And not necessarily buy something, but at least go, oh, there's a wine shop here, or there's a gallery here, or whatever. And so I think, maybe you want to review that and look that.
Yeah, definitely. And we did hear a lot of that too. We heard a lot of, oh, I didn't even know the shop was here.
Well, and that's good too, right? I mean, that's the idea, is that a lot of them don't know all the shops in town, right? Shops change. I can't say I know every shop in town, shops change. But the passport creates an incentive and a reason to go into those shops. So I just think that that would make sense to make that as strong of a promotion as possible. Okay.
Yeah, we'll revisit that and bring up all these points and see if we can, what the best option is, because we really want to fine tune that and
Right.
make that a worthwhile experience.
Right, because sponsors are paying for that to be in the passport, correct?
Yep.
So it needs to benefit them on the back end. The other question I had was about the state park allowing the e-bikes. So do you think it's that change of position from the state is based off of the popularity of e-bikes, or what's the reason for that change?
Yes, no, I think that's a good part of the reason that they have changed their stance on it. It's not that the e-bikes were not allowed on the beach, is that technically they're not allowed without a permit. So last year, what we found, and that bike was 2 weeks after I started at the chamber, so that was my first major project and hurdle to jump when I started, was acquiring e-bike permits for all of our e-bike users and letting them know, hey, state parks just told us you have to have a permit to use your e-bike on the beach. And so I know Daniela and I had a lot of conversations about it, and she worked tirelessly to make sure that we're the first event in Oregon to have a blanket permit for e-bike riders. We still had to identify every e-bike with a flag per state park regulations. But I do believe that a big part of their pivot on that and their stance on it was the popularity. They're everywhere now.
Right. Right.
So besides participation, in which ways do you need to grow for next year?
We have a marketing manager now who will help us market the events. I know that this year Daniela said she got ads out in various, like her mountain bike groups. I think Sierra, our marketing manager, also said she wants to reach out to different mountain bike or cycling clubs in Oregon to have them come out. She's on the board of the Clutchie Creek Trail as well. So she's got a lot of connections there in order to get the word out. Like I said, because we have Sierra now, it's going to be a lot easier for us, the event, and kind of get that as widespread as we can.
Absolutely.
So the other question I had is it Oregon Rides? Is that the name of the
Oregon Rides and Events? Yeah.
Oregon Rides and Events? Are they giving you feedback or thoughts on how to expand it and how to grow the event? Or are they just, because they're promoting it to attendees of other events, correct?
Yes.
And on their site. So are they giving you ideas on, boy, if you do this was really successful at these other events that we're doing, you should think about doing this? Are they giving you any feedback and ideas?
We have a sit down with them every year, a couple different times as we plan and prepare for this to go over what can make the event better. Interestingly, really the last couple of years, we're kind of leading that way in things that happen with our event, like the e-bike permit. And those will then transfer to the other events that they work on. So we're actually helping the other bike events, you know. It feels to me like we're leading that. And we absolutely rely on their vast experience of running mountain bike events, other bike events to pull ways to make it better. I know one of the things they've talked about and we're hoping to do is actually get a bike sponsor to come in and sponsor the event and be a part of the event. So we actually have fat bikes available or demo. I'm not sure exactly how that works. That's certainly one of the things that they're looking to incorporate into the event. So it's not just to come and enjoy the event, but it's really a celebration of the fat bike as well.
Is this something, do you guys see a lift on Fat Bike Weekend?
I mean, it's May, so
So you're busy.
we're busy, but we do get a number of fat bike riders. And they do, I know, spend a ton of money in restaurants and they are, when they're not in an event, they're going out to drinks. So I know that there is a huge impact that they have for the restaurant community.
Yeah, and that will line up with what Greg has said in the past.
Yeah.
We even had a few who were excited last year that we included a dispensary on the passport. So
There you go.
they're going there as well. Yeah.
I'm not surprised at that. But that's okay, right? That's spreading the money around town.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. I was just looking to see if this date is lining up with anybody else, and I don't think that it is.
This year it was over Mother's Day weekend, which we weren't sure was going to pose a challenge or not. It obviously didn't affect the attendance at all. But Daniela did say she made sure that it wasn't going to be on Mother's Day weekend again next year.
Yeah, and just spring unveiling is 2 weeks before that. I think that's the closest event otherwise.
Yeah, and this is another tide-based event, so it fluctuates a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for us?
No, we're excited to keep doing Fat Bike and keep growing it.
Hopefully that weather will cooperate like it did this year. That was beautiful weather.
Lucky it's a couple of years in a row, so.
Anything else?
No.
Libby or Drea, any questions?
Nope, I'm good. Nope.
All right, so we are now onto the video. So you're welcome to. We've received it, we've reviewed it. You're asking for 19,000 versus an ask last year of 14,000, so 19,900 versus 14,000 last year.
Yeah. This year I sat down with Seth and we identified some kind of key things we'd like to make videos of this coming year. Sandcastle's having its 60th anniversary. So we definitely love to capture that on video for posterity and to share. We've been trying to connect with the Clatsop Nehayon tribes to work with them on creating a video for to represent them. And we hope to get that in there. The marketing committee is currently working on Art is Everywhere in Cannon Beach. That's kind of the first promotion we're beginning to roll out, and tying in the art gallery videos with that will be a really good tie-in so that we can coordinate all of those things. And then we wanted to we've been talking for several years about doing a history video so that we could show people the history of Cannon Beach, which I think would be important. And we've had a successful hiking trail video up at Ecola State Park. We'd like to pick a different trail and take that trail and show it to everybody online. So these were some of the things we've identified on here. We also put in a couple of spaces for TAC specific events. So if any of the TAC events would like to jump in and have a video produced, we would coordinate that with our team to make sure that we can do that. The History Center got a little clip with the cottage and garden tour that they're incredibly excited to use for promotion next year. So we finally got some use of those videos of cross promotion with other tech events, which really has been the goal all along, but we're starting to see that now.
Right, and earlier we had the gallery group here and we asked them about that and they really didn't know about any clips that would be, you know, something that they could use to market. So stormy weather, I don't know if there's a stormy weather video, but that's one of their events. Plein air. I think that there's been a plein air video, but they're not aware of these. So I think that there's some communication that could happen between the chamber and gallery group as a starting point to say, hey, we already have these, start working on them. Arts and is it Art Notion or Art Notion, which is probably a pretty new event that you haven't, my guess.
Yeah, we haven't.
Seth hasn't videoed that.
It's on there.
Art Notion, they videoed.
It's Earth.
Earth Notion. Yeah.
I'm on the YouTube page.
Okay,
Yeah, we did capture
good.
that, I think pre-COVID. That's pretty old.
Our guy did a full video, which was amazing.
Yeah.
When it was sad, I mean, it was our Sea Star guy, but it's out there.
Okay, thanks. It just seems like there's some opportunity for those other organizations of who that video is for to really pick up that and use those videos.
Absolutely.
Well, these look like good ideas. When was the last time Sandcastle was video? Do you know?
I think 2018, during COVID, we did a how to make a sandcastle video. Was probably the last sandcastle opportunity that we've had. But I really feel like the 60th is a monumental achievement. And we've had our wrap-up meeting this morning and talked about, you know, kind of tying in the Heritage Award because it's the 10th anniversary of our Heritage Award and figuring out how to really celebrate Sandcastle for 60 years worth of.
I can't believe you're on the 60th anniversary. It seems like we were just doing the 50th anniversary of it.
Doesn't seem that long ago, does it?
Oh, it's crazy. But I like the tribes to support the art galleries again and the history. I mean, I think these are good topics. Do you have anything else for us?
No, I think that covers it.
Alan, do you have any questions?
No questions. No, I want to see him get used more. I mean, I reshared the Sandcastle one that you all posted a couple weeks ago, and I think, you know, it's a great video.
Yeah, and having a marketing manager to help work on how to promote those even better, I think is going to be very helpful as well.
Gosh, they're doing a really good job, so.
And I'd be happy to do a Puffin one anytime.
Yeah.
Libby or Drea, any questions from you?
Nope, all mine got answered, so we're good.
Oh,
All right,
No
thank you.
question.
All right.
You're Alan Barber, right?
That's,
Okay, just want to make sure I have the right name.
thank you.
The Alan Barber.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Be heard, Alan.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got those wrapped up. Jennifer, turn it back over to you.
So we got all of that wrapped up. Our next thing is we'll be meeting on Monday at, I think it was 1 o'clock. Because we typically do meet at
Yep.
1, and we will go over your recommendations. I emailed out everyone a spreadsheet.
Mhm.
You can start plugging in numbers to give you an idea of what it is you're thinking. And then for the new members, we'll go through and discuss everyone's thoughts. You'll go
Mhm.
down Were you here last year?
No.
Okay, like right after, right?
Right.
Okay, so each member can bring in their ideas of what they want to present. We'll go down the list, everyone discusses their numbers, and we load everyone's information in a giant spreadsheet and look and see what the averages are.
So we don't need to send you the spreadsheet in
No,
advance?
we will just go through it in person there, because as people are discussing, they'll talk about why they gave what amount they gave.
Mhm.
And people often change their mind.
Right.
Like somebody brings up a good point that the other person hadn't thought of. So it's a very fluid
Sure,
discussion.
sure.
And then at the end, we'll discuss it and you guys can vote and make a recommendation to council on those numbers. We can also discuss the other funds that TAC has. So Lori budgeted, oh, did I lose that spreadsheet, that number? Lori budgeted 481,000 for TAF funds, but there's also 700,000. Sorry, I inadvertently closed it. I had it open just so I can tell you guys exactly the number of basically funds that are under your purview, the 1% of this.
Right.
Yeah.
75% of the 1%.
Yes.
70%.
70%, 1%, that you guys can still make a recommendation to council on. So let me give you those actual numbers.
Well, and I know council has their eye on that, some of that.
I would like to talk about that because I am continually hearing that we, you know, obviously it's not our money, but we
Right.
promised 100,000. And that was not the case. We didn't get the opportunity to discuss that. And I don't know if that amount has been lost or, you know, already dedicated.
No,
Okay,
because you guys have to make that recommendation to council.
okay.
So the way I understood it was from before, that was something Bruce had asked for. You guys would have to make your vote to recommend that to council.
Mhm.
Council has the final say so of where it goes. So for the TAF, your applications now, you have the 481,250. I believe your ask came in below that.
It did.
So you still have some residual money left over from that no matter what. And then the tourism purpose money that is sitting right now in there for the budget year this year is $756,332. So this is your opportunity at this meeting to talk about, do you want to pledge money to the elementary school each year? Do you want to talk about funding other things? And that decision doesn't have to actually be made on Monday. We can talk about it with Ashley. We can make sure we know what we're able to recommend and not recommend.
Mhm.
And then we can even schedule another meeting if you want. Because you can do it along with the TAF awards, or if you need more time, we can send another recommendation to council later.
Okay, yeah, because, you know, sitting in the meetings and everything, it sounds like it had already been promised and without us having the opportunity to discuss it. So I just wanted to make sure that's not the case, because that's publicly, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that's he's anticipating that happening, but you guys have not made that official recommendation.
Mhm. Okay,
So that's how I am taking it.
okay,
So
Thank you for clarifying that, because last that I understood, there was no dollar amount that was ever thrown out. We were inquiring about what that would be, if I recall correctly, so.
Well, and there's a process. I mean, we have to make a recommendation as a committee for it to go to the city council for them to review and
Yes.
approve, right?
And they have to approve it.
Right.
Yeah. So because you're not able to spend any funds without council approval.
Right, so there's no informal, we're gonna give money to an event or a
Correct.
certain thing, right,
Because look what happened with the bandstand. There's a great example.
right.
You know, you guys wanted it to come out of TAC funds. And that ended up coming out of the park funds
Parks.
because it was something that you can get done, boom, boom, we can go right away, as opposed to
Going through a
getting
process.
recommendation and going through all of that.
Yeah.
So we will work on that Monday. And then the goal Monday is to finalize your actual TAF awards to recommend to go to the July work session for council.
So let's put that after we go through the TAF awards based on the presentations. Let's address that second. I do want to say that there's only 4 of us instead of 7. So our recommendations are going to be weighted heavier, right? So if we and I'm not saying this to sway anybody, if we go below, significantly below an ask, it's going to impact them more than if it was covered by 7 of us offering money. So just be thoughtful when you're making your recommendations. Take that into account.
Are there any recusals this year?
We'll ask that at the beginning of the meeting, if anyone needs to recuse themselves from anything or have any conflicts to declare. And at that time, I think most people have talked with OGEC and Ashley on whether or not they have to recuse themselves or just have to declare conflict.
Right.
So that'll be one of the first things we do at the meeting. We'll call the meeting to order and then ask for any conflicts or anything you need to declare.
Right.
Because my point being, it could be fewer than 4.
Right, it could be 3, and then it's even more of an impact when somebody makes a recommendation that's lower or way off.
And when you guys see that happening, you can always change your numbers if you want. I mean, that's what's great about the way you guys do it is that there's a lot of discussion to be
Mhm.
had. And you're not set in stone with anything until we make the final vote.
But we cannot make a recommendation above what was requested.
Yes, that was the rule that I think they made a couple of years ago.
Yes.
You can't request more than they ask.
Right.
After the meeting, so we'll discuss the award amount. We'll talk about if you guys want to fund anything else with the other money. And then we'll need to set up another meeting. So please bring your calendars. Because we will need to set up a meeting in August to review the final evals for fiscal year 22-23. So we'll get that set up. Maybe by then we'll have, well, I guess that's Monday. I guess we won't have a new member. I was thinking August, but hopefully by August we'll have new members
Mhm.
and that would make it good.
Thanks for the question. How can you do the final evals, like so far after you make a decision for what you're gonna allocate for the next year? So for example, go ahead.
The final evals are due with your application.
Well,
So they should be in everyone's hands to be considering, right?
Well, not everyone's done. So final evals are done within X amount of 30 days of your event or like
But
June,
we're,
within 30 days after June 30th.
but we're in the summer season now.
Yeah, there's,
But like Cottage Shore hasn't happened this year, so they couldn't give us a final eval for next year with their submission for next year.
That makes sense, but I guess it just seems interesting that you'll base, like, let's just say, I'll just use Skillet as an example. And let's say I didn't turn in my evaluation and I'm going, so you don't know exactly what happened. You're not even sure it did happen. You don't know if I even put heads in beds, you don't even really, there's nothing that really shows that, I spent the money correctly or, whatever.
Or we're successful.
Or we're successful or not successful. Because I know that doesn't necessarily, that's not the entire criteria, but then you award based on, you're gonna award, the certain amount that we're asking. And if that goes through and you get all this information that we didn't spend, you know what I mean? Like, can you go back and sort of say like, hey, we gave you 15,000 for this and you guys never did it. And that event never took place. And now we're running 30, we're doubling it basically for something that never happened. Do you see what I'm saying?
but that's when they give the funds back though too.
You asked, okay.
We ask people for funds back. If they don't use all of the funds, I think Coaster was a great example. They weren't able to do part of what they were granted money for. So they did this, not this part. So they wrote a check back for that other one.
There is a clause in the application packet that says that the misused funds can be, that the committee can, or council can demand them back if somebody was to go
Misuse
them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Well, and we-
need clarification.
The committee received money back quite a bit in 20 and 21. Yeah, for events that were canceled and didn't happen, but funds had been granted.
Which is different from like the parks, because I think the parks, like, people can hold on to the money, but then, and like give you an updated, like, but I'm gonna do this with it instead or something. And that was kind of screwy, that I didn't really.
And that's fairly new. I want to say historically, because I was in there for about 7-8 years. People usually did exactly what they said, but then all of a sudden, I think it really started around COVID more. Things kind of changed a little bit. And so they called up and say, hey, we asked for this,
Right.
we want to change it. So it's brought back to the committee and the committee can say, yes, we'll let you do this, or no, we're not. That's what we granted it for. You need to pay it back.
Right.
So I think typically they do tend to go with what the other adjustment.
I think we had a couple of events had to pivot to smaller events you know, instead of one big main event or two big main events, they did smaller locations and we approved that. And they used the monies that we gave them, but they weren't exactly how they asked for it, but they made slight changes so they could still have their event. Yeah,
Pivot was the word of the year.
if it was the word.
Pivot was it.
All right. I don't have anything else.
Okay, then
Libby, Drea, you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Hannah?
No.
All right, thank you.
we'll see you on Monday.
All right, see you Monday.
Perfect.